Unlike the choosing, which is probably as autobiographical as I ever got, this poem was written not out of memories of the events that it describes, but particularly to encourage children from John O'Groats to Land's End, from all over the country, to keep writing, at least sometimes, in what the producer of the programme that I wrote it for called hometown English. In other words, it's been used a lot here in Scotland to encourage the writing of Scots. So really all I did was got together a lot of Scottish words that I still use and that I certainly heard a lot when I was a child, and I wrote this imaginary but not that unrealistic version of my mother taking me to school for the first time. But I didn't write it because I was wanting to record my mother, who didn't actually speak the way that the person in the poem speaks. My grandmother probably spoke a bit more like that. So it's a little dramatic construction, and that's what I want to stress, that whenever you're writing a poem, even if you're writing something that's from your own experience, it quite soon becomes fiction. It becomes something you're turning into a shape. And in this case it was a kind of joke, because I thought, well, how on earth am I going to write a dialect poem for people from John O'Groats to Land's End? The people down in Cornwall really won't understand what they like to call my dialect. So I decided that I would have to build in a translation into the poem. That was all. And I like all these wee poems that we used to get, you know, one fine day in the middle of the night, two dead men get up to fight, you know, or Michael Finnegan, you know, there was an old man named Michael Finnegan, you know, he grew whiskers on his chin again. When they grew out, he grew them in again. Poor old Michael Finnegan, begin again, there was an old man named Michael. I liked rounds, or Frere Jacques, those kind of things that go round in circles. So it was the structure of the poem and the language of it that made me write it, not the experience that I'm recording. So it's Kidspoem, Bairnsang, and I always say this is a wee bilingual poem. It was January and a gay, dreich day, the first day I went to the school. So my mum happed me up in my good navy blue napcoat with a red tartan hood, birled a scarf around my neck, pooed on my pixie and my pockies, it was that bitter, said, "Noo you'll no starve," gave me a wee kiss and a kid on scalp in the bum, and sent me off across the playground to the place I'd learned to say. It was January and a really dismal day the first day I went to school. So my mother wrapped me up in my best navy blue topcoat with the red tartan hood, twirled a scarf around my neck, pulled on my bubble hat and mittens, it was so bitterly cold, said, "Now you won't freeze to death," gave me a little kiss and a pretend slap on the bottom, and sent me off across the playground to the place I'd learned to forget to say. It was January and a gay, dreich day, the first day I went to the school. So my mum happed me up in my good navy blue napcoat with a red tartan hood, birled a scarf around my neck, pooed on my pixie and my pockies, it was that bitter. Oh, saying it was one thing, but when it came to writing it in black and white, the way it had to be said was as if you were posh, grown up, male, English and dead. And of course, good writing required that I stop writing as if I was posh, grown up, male, English and dead, and started to write things the way I saw it, which is what I always want to encourage children and adults when I'm trying to help them to write, to tell us that we've all got the right to write down what we want to write in the words that we would use ourselves.